Well, good morning, everyone. Time check 10:03 here in China. We are here for the live coverage of the 20th CPC National Congress, and I'm here with a good friend of mine, colleague, Mario Cavallo. Welcome to the show, Mario. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Alex. And it is an amazing and interesting day, to say the least, right? I mean, first day of the CPC Congress. It's a big deal. It's a big deal for a lot of reasons.
Yeah, super big deal. We'll continue to cover the live event as we speak here. We'll just take a quick look into what is going on at the event right now. As you can see here, it's just opening. 10 o'clock is the opening here. And let's hear some words from President Xi. They're singing the anthem and stuff right now for the moment. Mario, is this the first time you've watched this event?
Live like this, yes. I mean, I've seen it in bits and pieces. Live stream with you.
So to my understanding, this is held at the Great Hall of the People in Beijing, unless I'm otherwise corrected on that.
Yeah, and that's right. And and it's interesting because here in Shenyang, there's also the provincial Great Hall of the People, and I did have the pleasure of being invited there for a big event about a year and a half ago, and wow, it was amazing to go in. I mean, it's like the Roman columns, right? The columns of the building are so big around, all that kind of thing, very majestic. It was really quite a cultural experience.
We'll just pause for a moment here.
And they've been laying out the framework for a long time. Oh, here, Alex, I just found, because there's so many articles in Chinese media about it, but you mentioned it yesterday, and I just found the highlights of the press conference from yesterday. That's a good thing.
We'll just take a moment of silence here for a second, Mario.
Oh, very good.
Moments over. Please be seated.
请坐一下。
Distinguished delegates, the 20th CPC National Congress quorum
Patrick, I'll be right back.
is 2,296, and 83 specially invited delegates, and altogether the number of delegates is 2,379, and today 39 persons have asked for temporary absence. And the total attendance is 2,340. And today with us are also some representatives outside parties and units. We welcome you all. Now, please allow me to invite General Secretary Xi Jinping to give a report on
here's a
behalf
special moment.
of the 19th CPC Central Committee.
This is absolutely amazing. Everyone, the world has been waiting for this speech all year, probably for the last few years here. This speech is probably one of the most important speeches. It affects everything, Western economies, China, you name it.
Absolutely.
It's unbelievable.
Absolutely. This speech right now is pivotal.
Let's listen into President Xi, and then we'll come back for some coverage after that.
Alex, in the West, they're gonna comb through this thing with they're gonna go through this with a fine-tooth comb.
Yeah.
It's over.
Every word is going to be criticized here, of course, by the Western media. But let's hear what President Xi has to say.
Comrades,
现在我代表第19届中央委员会
on behalf of the 19th Central Committee of the Communist Party of China, I will now deliver a report to the 20th National Congress.
第20次全国代表大
The
会
20th National Congress of the
是
Communist
在
Party of
全党
China
全国各族人民
is a meeting of
迈上
great
全面建
importance.
设社
It
会主义
takes
现代化
place
国家
at a
新征
critical
程
time as the entire
向第二
party
个百年
and the
奋斗目
Chinese
标进
people
军
of
的
all ethnic
关键
groups
时刻
embark on a new journey to
召
build
开的
China
一次
into
十
a
分重要
modern
的大会
socialist country in all respects and advance towards the second
大会的
centennial
主题
goal.
是高
The
举
theme
中国
of
特
this
色社会主
Congress
义伟大
is
旗帜
holding high the
全
great
面
banner
贯彻
of
新时代
socialism with
中国
Chinese
特色
characteristics,
社会主义思
fully
想
implementing the
弘扬
thought on socialism with
伟大
Chinese
建党精神
characteristics for new era, carrying forward
自信
the
自
great
强
founding spirit of the party,
守正创
staying
新
confident and building
脱离
strength,
奋发用义
upholding
前进
fundamental principles and break
为
new
全面
ground,
建设社会主义
forging
现代化国
ahead
家
with enterprise and
全面
fortitude,
推
and
进
strive
中
in
华民
unity
族
to
伟大复
build
兴
a modern
而
socialist
团结
country
奋斗
in all respect and advance the great rejuvenation of the Chinese nation on all fronts.
中国共产党已走过百年
Since
奋
its
斗历
founding
程
a century ago, the Communist Party of China has taken a remarkable
立志
journey.
于中华民
Our
族
party
千
has
秋伟
dedicated
业
itself to achieving lasting
致力
greatness
于
for the
人类
Chinese
和平与
nation
发展
and committed
崇
itself
高事
to the
业
noble cause of peace
责任无比
development
重大
for humanity.
使命
Our
无上
responsibility
光
is
荣
unmatched in importance, and our mission is glorious beyond
全
compare.
党同志
It is the imperative that all of us in the party
牢记
never
使命
forget our original
务
aspiration
必
and
谦
founding
虚谨
mission,
慎
that we always stay
艰苦奋
modest,
斗
prudent, and hardworking,
敢于斗争
and that we
善于
have the
斗争
courage and ability to
坚
carry
定
on our
历史
fight.
自信
We must remain
增
confident
强
in our
历
history,
史主动
exhibit greater historical
谱写新
initiative,
时代
and write an
中国特
even
色
more
社会主义
magnificent
更加
chapter
绚丽
for
的华章
socialism with Chinese characteristics in the new era.
依过去5年的工作
The 5 years
和新
since
时
the
代
19th
10年
National
的伟大
Congress
变革
and the great changes in the first decade of the new
19
era.
大以来的5年
The 5
是
years
极
since
不
the
寻
National
常
Congress
极不平凡
have
的
been truly momentous and extraordinary.
党中央统筹中华民族伟大复兴
The
战略
party's
全
Central
局
Committee has pursued a
和世界
strategy
100
of national
未有之
rejuvenation
大
amid
变局
global changes of a
就
magnitude
全
not
党和
seen
国
in a
家事业
century
发展
and made
做
major
出重大
strategic
战略
plan for advancing the cause of the party and the country.
团结带领全党全军全国
The
各
Central
族人民
Committee has brought together the
有效
entire
应对
party, the military, and the Chinese
严峻
people
复杂的
and
国
led
际
them
形势
in effectively
和
responding
接
to
踵
grave,
而至的
intricate international developments
巨大风
and
险
a
挑战
series of immense risks and
以奋发有
challenges.
为的精神
With great
把
effort
新
and
时代中
determination,
国特色社
we
会主义
have steadily
不断地推向
advanced
前
socialism with Chinese characteristics in the new
近
era.
来
Over the past
我
5
们坚
years,
持加强党
we
的
have
全面领导
continued to strengthen the
和党中
overall
央
leadership
集
of the
中统一
party
领导
and the centralized
全力
unified
推进
leadership of the Central
全面
Committee.
建成小康社
We
会
have
进程
devoted great energy to finish building a
完整
moderately prosperous
准确
society in all
全面
respects. We have
贯彻
fully
新发
and
展理念
faithfully applied the new development
着力
philosophies
推动
on all fronts,
高质量发展
focused on promoting high
主动
quality
构建
development, and
新发
work
展
to
格局
create a new pattern
提
of
及不
development.
稳
We
推进
have
改革
pursued reform at a swift and steady
扎
pace,
实推进全过程人民
made solid progress in developing
全
whole
面推
process
进
people's
依法治
democracy
国
and advanced
积
law-based
极发
governance
展社会
across
主义
all
先进
fields
文
of
化
endeavor. We
突
have
出
actually
保障
developed advanced
和改善
socialist
民生
culture. We have
集中
ensured
力
and
量实
improved public
施
well-being
脱贫
as
攻
the matter
战
of priority
大力
and
推
pulled
进
resources
生
to
态文
wage a
明建
critical
设
battle against poverty. We made big push to enhance
坚
ecological
决维护国
conservation.
家安全，
We have worked with firm resolve to safeguard national security,
保持
fend
社
it
会
off
大局稳
and
定，
defuse the major risks, and
大力
ensure
度推
social
进
stability.
国防和
We
军
have
队
devoted great
现代
energy
化
to
建设，
modernizing our national defense and
全
armed
方位
forces.
开展
We have conducted
中国特
major
色大国
country
交，
diplomacy with
全面
Chinese
推进党的
characteristics
建
on
设
all fronts.
新的伟大工
And
程。
we have made sweeping efforts to advance the great new project of
我
party
们
building.
隆重庆祝中国共产党成
We
立
celebrated
100
the
周年，
centenary of the Communist
中
Party
华
of
人民
China
共和国成立
and
70周
the
年，
70th anniversary of the founding of
制
the
定第三
PRC.
个历史决
We
议，
adopted the third resolution
在
concerning
全
the
党
party's
开展
history,
党史学习教育，
organized party-wide activities
号
to
召
study
全党
party
学习
history
和践行
and called
伟
upon
大建党
all
思
party
精神，
members to study and apply the great founding spirit of the party.
特别是面对突如其来的新冠肺炎疫
In
情，
responding to the sudden
我们
outbreak
坚
of
持人民至
COVID-19,
上，
we
生
put the
命至
people
上，
and their lives above
坚
all
持
else
动态清零
and
不动摇，
tenaciously pursue a
开
dynamic
展
zero
抗击疫
COVID
情、
policy
人民战争、
in launching an
总体
all-out
战、
people's war to
阻击
stop the
战，
spread of the virus.
最大限度保护了人
We
民生
have
命安
protected
全
the people's
和身
health
体健
and
康，
safety to the
统
greatest
筹疫情
extent
防控
possible and
和
made
经济社会
tremendous
发展取
encouraging
得重
achievements
大
in both
积极成
epidemic
果。
response and economic and social development.
面对香港局势
In the
动
face
荡
of
变化，
turbulent developments in Hong
我
Kong,
们依照宪法和基
the
本法
central government
有
exercises
效实
overall
施
jurisdiction over
对
the
特别行
special
政区的
administrative
全面
regions
管制
as
权，
prescribed by China's constitution
落
and
实
basic
爱国者
law
治
of the
港
Hong
原则，
Kong Special Administrative
香
Region
港局
and
势实
ensure
现
that Hong Kong is
由乱
ministered
到治
by
的
patriots.
重大转变。
Thanks to these moves, orders have been restored in Hong Kong, marking a
面
major
对台独
turn for the
势力
better in
分裂
the
活动
region.
和
In
外部
response
势
to
力
separate
干涉台湾事
activities
务
aimed
的
at Taiwan
严重
independence and
挑
gross
衅，
provocations of
我
external
们坚决
interference
开
in
展
Taiwan
反
affairs,
分裂、
we
反
have
干涉
resolutely fought
重大
against
斗争，
separatism and countered
展示了
interference,
我们维护国家
demonstrating
主
our
权
resolve
和
and
领土
ability
完整，
to safeguard
反
China's
对台独
sovereignty
的
and
坚强
territorial
决心
integrity and
和
to
强
oppose
大能力。
Taiwan independence.
面对国际局势
Confronted
急剧
with
变化，
drastic changes in the international
我们保
landscape,
持战略定力，
we have maintained firm strategic resolve and shown a
在斗
fighting
争中
spirit.
维护国家
Throughout
尊
these
严
endeavors,
和
we
核
have
心利益，
safeguarded China's dignity and core interest
牢
and
牢
kept
掌握了
ourselves well
我国
positioned
发展
for
和安全
pursuing
主动
development
权。
and ensuring security.
5年来，
Over the past 5 years,
我们党团结带领
our party
人
has
民
rallied the people
攻克了
and
许
led
多
them
长期没
in
有解决的
solving
难
great
题，
number of problems that
办
had
成
long
了许
gone
多事关长
unsolved,
远的
securing
大事，
many
要
accomplishments
事，
that hold major future
推动党和国
significance,
家事业
and
取得
achieving
举世瞩目的
impressive
重大
advances
成
in the
就。
cause of the party and the country.
同志们，
Comrades,
18大召开至今已经10
10
年了，
years have passed since the party's 18th National Congress.
我们经历了对党和人民事业
The
具
past
有
decade
重大
marked
现实意义和
3
深远
major
历史
events
意义的
of great
3件大
immediate
事。
importance and profound historical significance for
一
the
是
cause of
迎
the
来了
party
中国共
and the
产党
people.
成立100
We
周年，
embrace the centenary of the Communist Party
二
of
是
China.
中国特色社会主义进入
We
新时
ushered
代，
in a new era of socialism with Chinese
3
characteristics,
是完成脱贫攻坚，全
and
面建成
we
小康社会
eradicated
的历史
absolute poverty and finished building a
实现
moderately prosperous
第一个
society
100年
in
奋斗
all
目标。
respects, thus completing the first centenary goal.
这是中国共产党
These
中国人
were
民
historical feats,
团结奋
feats
斗赢得
accomplished
的
by the Communist
历史
Party
性
of
胜利，
China and the Chinese
是
people
标炳
striving in
中华民
unity.
族发展史
Feats
册
that will
的
be forever
历史性
recorded
胜利，
in the Chinese
也
nation's
是
history,
对
and
世
feats
界
that will
具
be
有深远影响
profoundly
的
influence
历史性
the
胜利。
world.
10年前，
A decade
我们
ago,
面对的形势是
this was the situation we
改革开放
faced.
和社
Great
会主义现代化
achievements
建设
had been secured
取
in
得巨大
reform
成
and
就，
opening up, and socialism
党的建设新的
mobilization,
伟大工程
and notable
取得
advances
显著
had
成
been
效，
made in the great new projects of party
为我们
building.
继续前进
All this
奠定了
had
坚实基
created
础，
solid
创
foundations,
造了良好
favorable
条件，
conditions, and key
提供了
underpinning
重要保障。
for our continued progress.
同时，
At the
一
same
系列
time,
长期
however,
积累及新出
a
现的突出
number
矛
of
盾和问
prominent
题
issues and
亟待
problems,
解决。
some of which had been building for years and others
面
which
对
were
这些
just
影响
emerging,
党长期
demanded
执政、
urgent actions.
国家长
In the
治久
face of
安、
these acute
人民幸
problems
福
and
安康的
challenges
突出
which
矛盾和问
undermine the
题，
party's long-term governance,
党
the
中央
security and stability of our
审
country,
时度势，
and the well-being of the people, the party's
果敢
Central
抉
Committee
择，
fully assessed the
锐
situation,
意进取，
made resolute
攻坚
decisions,
克难，
and took firm steps.
团结带领全党全军全
Under
国
its
各族人
leadership,
民
the entire
撸
party,
起袖子加油
the
干，
military, and the
风
Chinese
雨无
people
阻向
were
前行，
brought together.
义无反
We
顾
rolled up our
进
sleeves
行，
and
具有
got
许
down
多
to
新
work,
的
forging
历
ahead
史特
with
点的
resolve to carry
伟大
out the
斗
great
争。
struggle with many new features of our times.
10年来，
Over the past decade,
我们坚持
we
马克
have
思列宁主义、
stayed committed to
毛泽东思想、
Marxism-Leninism, Mao Zedong
邓小
thought,
平理论、
Deng Xiaoping theory,
三个代表重要思
the
想、
theory of three
科
represents,
学发展观，
and the scientific outlook on development.
全面贯彻新时
We
代
have fully
中国特色
implemented
社
the
会主义
thought
思想，
on socialism with Chinese
全面贯彻
characteristics
党的
for a new
基
era,
本路线，
as well as the party's
基本
basic
方略，
line and the basic policy.
采取一系列
We
战略
have
性举措，
adopted a number of strategic
推进
measures,
一系列变革性
developed a
实践，
range of transformative
实现一
practices,
系列
and
突
made
破
a
性进展，
series of breakthroughs and landmark
取
advances.
得一系列
We
标志
have
性成果，
withstood risks
经
and
受住了
challenges
来自政治、经
and
济、
trials
意
in the
识形态、
political,
自然界等
economic,
方面的
ideological,
风险挑战考验。
and natural domains.
党和国家事业取得历史性成就，
Secures historical
发
achievements
生历
and
史性变
seen
革，
historical
推
changes
动
in
国
the
家
course
迈
of the
上
party and the
全面
country,
建设
and taken
社会
China
主
on a
义
new
现代化
journey
国家
toward
新征程。
building a modern socialist country in all respects.
我们创立了
We have
新时代中国特色
established
社会主义
thought
思想，
on socialism with Chinese
明确
characteristics
坚
for a
持和
new
发展
era.
中国特色社会
In
主义
doing
的
so, we have
基本
laid
方
out
略，
the basic policy for upholding and developing
So
socialism
we'll
with
come
Chinese
back to the speech in a
characteristics.
moment. Mario, how do you think things are going so far with this?
Yeah, you know, I've actually been transcribing while she's talking. I type pretty fast because even though we'll be able to read it later, but I want to be able to discuss it with you right now. Here's the problem, Alex. The problem is that the speech is everything that it should be.
Right.
It's everything that it should be. It's everything that I thought it would be. It's how do I say? It's not overly flowery. It's rather it's rather straightforward. You know, let me go. You know, I'll go through some of the comments. We've safeguarded China's dignity and core interests and ensuring security. These 5 years, advances and plans continue being achieved. Over the past 10 years, 3 major events. one, eradicating poverty and building a moderately prosperous society broadly, which they have. It's incredible. Feats forever recorded in Chinese history that have never happened before. I mean, this last 20, 30 years for China is unprecedented in the historical record, and have profoundly influenced the world. I'll stop and say, boring. Great achievements in reform and opening up and socialism with Chinese characteristics. Yes, nothing new. Create favorable conditions for continued progress. Yes, nothing new. Is any of that? It's not particularly flowery, is it? It's just a straightforward assessment of this is what we've been doing. This is what's been going on. However, several prominent issues, acute problems undermining our security and stability. Yes, we fully assessed these, and we took firm steps, including our military, which refers to Taiwan, defensive only. China hasn't started a war in 47 years, hasn't attacked any other country or killed anyone in 47 years. They don't get any credit for that. We remain committed to Marxism, Leninism, Mao Zedong thought, Deng Xiaoping theory as the underpinnings of fully implementing for a new era socialism with Chinese characteristics. That's what he just said. Continuing a series of breakthroughs, adopting strategic measures, continuing a series of breakthroughs, facing trials in political, economic, ideological, and natural domains. We continue this new journey for the new era. Unbelievable.
Let's have a listen back in. Let's have a listen back in, and then we'll come back to our commentary after.
We have made constant progress in enriching and developing a new form of human advancement. We have forward and applied a new development philosophy, worked hard to promote high-quality development, and pushed to foster a new pattern of development. We have carried out supply-side structural reform, formulated a series of major regional strategies importance to China's overall development, and brought about a historical rise in China's economic strength. In the past decade, China's GDP has grown from 55 trillion yuan to 114 trillion yuan, and come to account for 18.5% of the world economy, up by 7.2 percentage points. China's remained the world's second largest economy, and its per capita GDP has risen from 39,800 yuan to 81,000 yuan. It ranks first in the world in terms of grain output. China's manufacturing sectors, it's the largest in the world, as are its foreign exchange reserves. We have made breakthroughs, some core technologies in key fields, and boosted emerging strategic industries. We have witnessed major success in multiple fronts, including manned spaceflight, lunar and Martian explorations, deep sea and deep earth probes, supercomputers, satellite navigation, quantum information, nuclear power technology.
So just going over the achievements of China, it's truly extraordinary. And also to me, as a Westerner, watching a leader stand up, be so confident. This is a nation that has had some major challenges here over the last few years here, of course, with the pandemic, having to continually move the country forward and actually investing and doubling down, as we call it, investing more into supply chain channels, logistics, those relationships that continue to grow around the world. And with the BRI, more investments here. This is a leader that stands up there with confidence, Mario. And you know what I find amazing is, as we were looking around in the international media right now, I'm going to bring up some things, and we'll come back to the feed later, everyone. There's a lot to unpack here. This is the first day, but we'll come back. This panel will be going into a little bit of a discussion now on how the government works if you don't have a very clear understanding about it. And there's a couple of things that I want to bring up from yesterday. Here's a few of the highlights that were from yesterday's before we had the official opening today. And they were the following: the fundamentals of the Chinese economy remain unchanged, as well as the major achievements reflected in morality and prosperous society. And the number 3 was the dynamic zero COVID strategy, which is working best for the country, and national reunification by peaceful means is the first choice. And of course, number 5, CPC maintains friendly interaction with the rest of the world. Go ahead, Mario.
I just, as I'm reading each of these points, I love to dig deeper, right? Fundamentals of the Chinese economy remain unchanged. Is the Chinese economy challenged by its zero COVID policy? Is it putting a dent in parts of the economy? Yes. Other parts of the economy are growing and doing well. China's GDP is the only country. China's the only country that's growing in the world. As you know, remember in 2020, right? It was the only country on planet Earth in the middle of a raging pandemic that had positive GDP. So fundamentals of the Chinese economy remain unchanged. It affects mainly in retail, food, leisure, absolutely. But like I said, other parts of the economy doing well. Major achievements reflected in moderately prosperous society. Again, what do we have? Are we up to 850 million now who are in the urban world? And they say in the urban now, right? So it's it's up to 60% of the population is now in the urban communities. You say, well, but there 300 some people at the low income level, like minimum wage people in America, they don't have any extra money. Of course, every society's that way. However, and they say, oh, and $300 a month, and they're poor. No, they're no more poor than people who are making minimum wage in the United States, because they also don't have any expenses. The cost of living is much, much lower. In a third-tier Chinese city, you can rent a 400 square meter apartment for $100 a month. You can't do that back in America. And so they don't understand that even the cost of living is much lower. You need to go to the doctor. It's not going to cost you $75 or even $50. It's going to cost you 1 kwai to go see a nice doctor in a local hospital out in the countryside, and then another $1 to get some medicine. Right. So they don't understand this relative sense of what a dollar's worth. And then dynamic zero COVID strategy. Listen, Alex, I'm happy to say the country is doubling down on zero COVID. When everybody that the Congress would mark a time when they're moving away from zero COVID, I started saying to everyone a month ago that, what are you talking about? That's not going to happen at all. Zero COVID is exactly the right strategy. I'm seeing it very, very clearly. People ignore the benefit of it, which is, 5 million grandmas and grandpas are not dead. We live in a society that values family. China is still in the West, it's a traditional family values. Marriage, family are of the utmost importance. Taking care of mom and dad, your family together, reminds me of Italy, right? This is like the Roman Catholic Italian culture. And it's China. It's an atheist country. No, bananas, okay? Judeo-Christian ethic is alive and well in China. So it's through family. And so people ask me, well, why is they doing zero COVID? This is why. You have the responsibility to take care of mom and dad. That means protecting their
and back to
dead.
Right.
Their thinking is different in the West than the West.
Back to Xi's speech. He was going into context and discussing in detail how they're going to achieve certain things that are causing a little bit of confusion in the world. And that is, the world is trying to figure out and say, well, China, they need to come out of this COVID policy. It's draconian.
No.
China's going to stay the same as what they've done. The measures that they have taken have saved people's lives. They've used technology, which has proven to be effective. Yes, no one likes the word lockdown, but that word lockdown is very deceptive. It's almost a hit word for the West. In the West, it's, oh, we've locked that down, whatever. And then when they refer to China, they refer to it as draconian. But here is a leader that is standing up and giving one of the most important speeches in the world. He's not stuttering about it. He's not mixed up about his words, and he's not attacking. He is not attacking other nations around the world, saying that they are our adversaries. They are terrible. Let me play a video to everyone who doesn't quite understand how the government is set up here. This is a good little video for us. Let's just sit back and watch it for a moment, if you guys don't mind. And this should give you a clear idea of how organized China is when it comes to this level of government. All right, here we go.
In the media these days. But what is this organization? How does it operate? Well, visually, it kind of looks like this. At the grassroots level, there are more than 90 million party members who make up the CPC party committees across China's urban communities, villages, social institutions, state-owned firms, as well as many private companies and even foreign ones operating on Chinese soil. Across cities, provinces, and autonomous regions, there are CPC party congresses as well that discuss local matters. Now let's move higher up. Over 2,000 representatives make it into the CPC's National Congress, which is held every 5 years. And it hasn't always looked like this. The first Congress was held 100 years ago in this building, located in Shanghai's former French concession area. That was until members were harassed and pressured into moving to a rented tourist boat. In 1928, the Sixth Congress was held in Moscow, as the fledgling party could hardly find a safe place to congregate within China. Today, the Congress is regularly held at the Great Hall of the People, Beijing, with the next one slated for 2022. But if National Congress is only held every half-decade, then who makes decisions when it's not in session? Enter the CPC Central Committee. It has more than 200 members, which get reshuffled every 5 years during the National Congress. Each edition of this committee holds meetings at least once a year with different themes called plenums. For example, the fifth plenum is usually about passing the important 5-year plan that guides China's economic development. These plenums shape the country's course in very meaningful ways. In December 1978, the third plenary session of the then 11th CPC Central Committee marked the start of China's reform and opening up, and set the country on course for rapid economic growth for decades to come. Let's continue. We have not reached the top yet. Among the members of the CPC Central Committee, 25 of them will form the Politburo, which gathers regularly to vote on important matters. By design, they make decisions based on one person, one vote. Once a majority is reached, they speak with one unified voice. Several politicians in the Politburo form the Politburo Standing Committee. Throughout the CPC's history, the number of members in this top group, which reports to the Politburo, has varied from about 5 to 11 people. Currently, there are 7 members. And who convenes meetings at the Politburo and the Politburo Standing Committee? The General Secretary. Xi Jinping currently serves in this position. He is also the president of China, having been voted in by the National People's Congress. Several other top CPC leaders hold important state positions as well.
Well, thank you to the CGTN. We're going to jump back now into coverage here, live on location here. President Xi is still speaking here, and let's check in on him.
Dangers in the party, the country, and the military. Through painstaking efforts, the party has found a second answer to the question of how to escape the historical cycle of rise and fall. The answer is self-reform. We have ensured that the party will never change its nature, its conviction, or its character. As we fully affirm the remarkable achievements we have made in the cause of the party and the country, we must not lose sight of the shortcomings in our work and many difficulties and problems that are confronting us.
对这些问题，我们已经采取一
We
系列
have
措施
already put in
加以解
place
决
a series of measures to
今后
deal with these
必须
problems,
加大
and
工作力度。
we must redouble our efforts to see them fully resolved.
同志们，
Comrades,
新时代的伟大成就
the great achievements of the new era have come from the collective dedication and hard work of our party and our people. Here,
我代表中共中
on
央
behalf of the Central Committee of the
向全
Communist
体
Party
中
of
国
China,
共产党
I express our heartfelt
向
gratitude
全
to
国
all of our
各族
party
人民
members, to the people of
向
all ethnic
各
groups,
民主党派
to all
个人
other
民团
political
体
parties,
各
people's
界爱国人
organizations,
士
and patriotic
向
figures
香
from
港特别
all
行政区
sectors of
同胞
society, to
澳
our
门特
fellow
别行政区
compatriots
同
in
胞
the Hong Kong
和
and
台湾
Macau
同胞
special
以
administrative
及
regions
广大侨
in
胞
Taiwan and
向
overseas,
关心和支持
and
中国现代化建设的各
to
国
all
朋友
our friends around the world who have shown
衷心的
understanding
感谢。
and support for China's modernization drive.
新时代10年的伟大变革
The great transformation over the past 10 years of the new era
新中国
marks
的
a milestone in the history
改革
of the
开放
party,
史
of the People's
社会主
Republic of
义发
China,
展史
of reform and opening
中
up,
华民族
of the
发展史
development
上
of socialism,
具有
and
里
of the
程碑意义
development of the Chinese nation.
走过100年奋斗历程
Over
的
the
中国共
course
产
of
党
a century of endeavor,
在革命
the
性锻炼
Communist Party of China
更加
has
坚强
tempered
有力
itself through revolution
在
and
坚持和发
grown
展中国
stronger,
特色社会主义
as
的
it
历
has
史进程
upheld
中
and developed socialism
始终
with Chinese
成为
characteristics,
坚强
it has always remained a strong leadership core.
中国人民的前进动力
The Chinese people
更加强
are
大
more inspired than
奋斗
ever to
精
forge
神
ahead,
更加
more
昂扬
resolved than ever to work
必
hard,
胜信念
and more confident than ever of securing success.
中国共产党和中国人
With
民
full
正
confidence,
信心
the
百倍
Communist Party of China
推进
and the
中华
Chinese
民
people
族
are driving the
从蛋
great
起来
transformation of the
富起
Chinese
来
nation from
到
standing up
强起来
and
的
growing
伟大飞
prosperous
跃
to becoming strong.
改革开放和
We
社
have
会主义
advanced
现代化建
reform,
设
opening up,
深入
and
推进
socialist modernization,
实现
and
中华民
the
族伟大复兴
rejuvenation of the Chinese
进入
nation
了
is
不
now
可
on
逆
an
转的
irreversible
历史进程
historical course.
科学社会主义
Scientific
在21世
socialism
纪的中国
is brimming with
焕发出
renewed
新的
vitality in the
蓬勃生
21st
机
century China.
中国式现代化
Chinese
为人类实现现
modernization
代化
offers humanity
提供了
a new
新
choice
的选
for
择
achieving modernization.
中国共产党和中国人民
The Communist Party of
为解
China
放人类
and the
面临
Chinese
的
people
共同
have
问题
provided
为解决
humanity
人类
with more
面临的
Chinese
共同问题
insight, better
提
Chinese
供更
input,
多更好
and
的
greater Chinese
中国
strength to
智
help
慧
resolve its common
中国
challenges,
方案
and
中国力
have
量
made new and
为
greater
人类和平
contributions
与发展
to the
崇高
noble
事业
cause
做
of
出新的
human peace
更大的
and
贡献
development.
二开辟
Second,
马克思主
a
义
new
中国化
frontier in adapting
时代化
Marxism
新
to the
纪元
Chinese context and the needs of the times.
马克思主义是我们立党
Marxism is the
新党
fundamental
新国
guiding
的
ideology
根本
upon
指
which
导
our
思想
party and our country are founded
实
and
践告诉
thrive.
我
Our experience has
们
taught
中国
us
共产党为
that
什
at
么
the
能
fundamental level, we
中国
owe
特色
the
社会主义
success
为什么
of
好
our party and socialism
归根到
with
底
Chinese
是马克
characteristics
思主义
to the
行动
fact that
是中
Marxism
国化
works,
时代化的
particularly
马克思主
when it
义
is adapted to the Chinese context and the needs of our times. The sound theoretical guidance of Marxism is the source from which our party draws its firm belief and conviction, and which enables our party to seize the historical initiative. Since the 18th National Congress, our party has made theoretical explorations and innovations with great courage. It has, from an entirely new perspective, deepened its understanding of the laws that underlie governance by a communist party, the development of socialism, and the evolution of human society. It has achieved major theoretical innovations, which are encapsulated in the thought on socialism with Chinese characteristics for a new era. The main elements of the theory are summarized in the 10 affirmations, the 14 commitments, and the 13 areas of achievement that articulate.
So we'll come back to coverage of that. Mario, let's have some commentary on this.
Ooh, man, here's my commentary. Well, it's just crystal clear. I mean, Alex, are you hearing anything ambiguous?
No.
Right. I mean, are we hearing anything? This is the reaction that I'm getting. In my own mind, I've been here a long time, longer than I can even believe. Oh, by the way, Alex, did you know this month it's 24 years?
Wow.
I arrived in China October. I arrived, in fact, around the middle of the month. I had a photo of the original boarding card when I arrived in Zhou and Chongqing, and that hard drive crashed, so I lost it. But it was around the middle of October that I first arrived in China, and that was 24 years ago this month. So next year's my 25th. It's going to be a big party. But anyway, so back to the track here. It's incredibly important from my perspective. And again, folks, I live as a local person in China. I'm an independent person in China ever since I arrived 24 years ago, because of some things that I've done over the years that I feel very happy about and appreciate. I'm now a senior fellow, non-resident senior fellow researcher with the Center for China Globalization. So on a regular basis, I'm writing papers and doing research on a regular basis. And I don't want to share opinion with people. I like to dig into what I can see and then make commentary based on what's evidently observably certain to be seen. Let me see it. Is it evidently observably certain, known as apodeictic, and in the historical record? So this is not rhetoric. This is not opinion. So what are we seeing, and what have I seen with China's development over the years and China's challenges? And now I'm listening to this speech, and my reaction is it's wonderfully pragmatic, which is what doesn't surprise me at all, Alex. The word Chinese are they're straightforward, get the job done, this is what we're doing, this is the track we're on. It's not overly flowery, is it? Here's a flowery phrase. I'll take flowery on this one: the contribution to the noble cause of humans' peaceful development. If there's ever going to be a flowery phrase, let it be for humans' peaceful development, right? I mean, if there's anything you want to have a flowery phrase, so noble, right? The noble cause of humans' peaceful development. This is the opposite of the West. This is why they continue to distort and hate China. But he's just saying it in fact. China's peaceful rise. The noble so do we have China's peaceful rise? That's the real question, right? Western reporters will try to tear the speech apart, but you stop and ask the question, well, do we have China's peaceful rise? Yes, we do. So no, we don't, because they're genociding Uyghurs, they're violating human rights, except that's not true. So they put up a lie to blunt the reality of what China's accomplished, which has not been in any war since Vietnam, not attacked any other country, no military actions, no killing any other people, no drone bombs of anybody anywhere else. The noble cause of humans' peaceful development is part of China's rise. There it is. And the continuing things that he's saying, now we can talk more. I'll stop about the further comments about the basis of Marxism, etc.
Yeah. Wow. I'm also struggling with trying to understand why why the international media is not covering this. Now, this is not attacking nations, but most media outlets around the world tune in when President Biden is talking, either if they're trying to catch him in a mix up of words to ridicule him later. But there are nations that don't respect him. Now, when it comes to respect of President Xi here in China, you don't really see people commend him for his great leadership over the past, well, let's call it even 5 years here. And we can go back 10 years and show many things. But I'm going to bring up something that I thought, well, I'm going to see what the international media is doing to cover this. And well, to my surprise, you can see here, we're going to be going through a few of these newspapers. Japan Times, yeah, they're covering it. Le Figaro is figuring it as well. Wall Street Journal, nothing on the Wall Street Journal, really, not much at all. China Daily as well has got some coverage. But what strikes me the most is this last piece here that I found in the Wall Street Journal as I was digging through. Look at the front headline there. Look at that. Now,
whoa.
This campaigns aim to help ensure nation could withstand potential conflict with the United States. Seriously, not one coverage from Fox News right now. I don't see BBC News covering this right now. I don't see ABC, CNBC. No one has live coverage this right now. And that will tell you right there very clearly the respect or even the ignorance of world media here. Let's just go through these one more time here, and we'll slowly see what the world is struggling with and should be actually embracing what's going on here in China. But the Times, they're talking about the Prime Minister of England potentially could lose her government, or she could even lose the PM job. Okay. And again, these are the front page newspapers of Saturday. Of course, there is some respect here out of the Japan Times, the weekend, the New York Times weekend, they call it, in collaboration together there. And we move forward again to Le Figaro. Now, you can understand that a lot of these nations are going to come on the attack tomorrow. They're going to look for any word or any quote that they will consider hostile. But as you can see in the print media, not one of them are interested in reporting on this world historic event here, except to pretty much do hit pieces on China, which I find is very, very, very disingenuous. Yes.
Alex, something just suddenly came to my mind that is really indicative of the problem of how essentially mainstream media is a core part of the problem in the West. And that is, as you just said, I'm always complaining, and it's a constant problem, that they're constantly doing hit pieces about China, right? So you say, oh, so they're anti-China, and we can continue on that discussion for 3 hours. But hang on a minute. Do you know what the problem is? They're not just doing hit pieces against China. They're constantly engaged in doing hit pieces against each other. So it's a sick, twisted world that they're creating, this mainstream media narrative. All they do is sick, twisted attacks against each other all the time, all day. I mean, you go to Fox News, nothing but they vilify and demonize Biden and the other side. And you go to CNN side, and just using these two examples, and they vilify and demonize anything Republican and anything Trump. And then they vilify and demonize, both sides vilify and demonize China. That is their MO. That is their way of operating. And they are shaping the flavor and soul of the United States of America, which makes me, as an American, watching all this. I've watched this develop over the last 24 years. And The real response is how incredibly disheartening it is. Wow. And then you take disheartening and you move it to frustration. And then from frustration, of course, the next level is anger. You should be angry that the United States government and to a huge degree, and the United States mainstream media to a huge degree, not 100%, but to a huge degree, that this is how they operate. Governance. This is how they're what they're doing to their society, Alex. I'm brokenhearted, and then you can get angry, and more people are getting angry. Wow.
I agree with you, Mario. I'm going to play another video here just to clarify and give a little bit more understanding on what we're seeing here today, how China government works at all levels. We saw a video a little bit earlier, and if you're just joining us, I suggest that you go back in the recording after we're done the show to get an in-depth view here. We're going to play another video here, Mario, and let's have a look, and maybe you can comment on this after. All right.
Jiaxin, I've noticed a lot of stories about party delegates these days. I know they are specifically elected for each CPC National Congress, but what else is so special about them?
Well, Joey, party delegates are first and foremost official members of the Communist Party of China. In China, there are over 96 million party members. So that means 1 out of every 14 Chinese people here are a party member. The ratio is not surprising, though. But the number of candidates of this year's 20th National Congress is 2,300, of which 2,296 have been announced. This is equivalent to 1 party delegate for every 40,000 party members.
That's the best of the best. The election process must not be easy, right?
Certainly, candidates should be nominated by a local party branch and be checked for their integrity and party discipline before they can stand for election. Opinions of the party members must be solicited. In this year's case, 99.5% of party members participated, recommending who should be nominated. The number of nominated candidates needs to be more than 15% of the seats available. These candidates will then be elected level by level by the party's organizations and its members. The election began last November and took until the end of this June.
Must be a lot of work out there. So, who are these candidates?
Well, their professions represent all walks of life. They are manual laborers, athletes, scientists, soldiers, teachers, you name it. If you look at where they're from, they are basically elected from every province, municipality, and autonomous region in China, as well as from their electoral units within the government, from the People's Liberation Army, as well as state-owned enterprises and financial institutions.
Yeah, I also see that 1/3 of the party's delegates this year are people who actually work in frontline production. Although the majority of the population of China is Han, this year's party delegates cover 40 of the country's ethnic minorities. The proportion of female delegates has also increased by 2.8% compared with that of the 19th Party Congress 5 years ago. But I still have a question. Is it true that the longer you've been a member of the party, the more likely you are to be elected?
Well, that's not the case. Those who join a party at any time could be elected. This year's delegates range in age from their 20s to their 90s. Age and seniority is not important. It is their performance, their solid record of service to the people, and their strict requirements for themselves that truly matter.
So being a delegate is not only an honor, it's a duty.
Yeah, with great capability comes great responsibility.
All right, let's go back to the Congress here.
Go. Yeah, I want to hear more.
Promote high standard opening up. We will steadily expand institutional opening up with regards to rules, regulations, management, and standards, and accelerate China's transformation into a trader of quality. We will promote the high-quality development of the Belt and Road Initiative and endeavor to preserve the diversity and stability of the international economic landscape and economic and trade relations. 5. Invigorating China through science and education and developing a strong workforce for the modernization drive. Education, Science and technology and human resources are the fundamental and strategic pillars for building a modern socialist country in all respects. We must regard science and technology as our primary productive force, talent as our primary resource, and innovation as our primary driver of growth. We will fully implement the strategy for invigorating China through science and education, the workforce development strategy, and the innovation-driven development strategy. Open up new areas and new arenas in development and steadily foster new growth drivers and new strengths. We will continue to give high priority to the development of education, build China's self-reliance and strengthen science technology, and rely on talents to pioneer, to propel development. We will speed up work to build a strong educational system, greater scientific and technological strengths, and a quality workforce. We continue efforts to cultivate talents for the party and the country, and comprehensively improve our ability to nurture talent at home. All of this will see us producing first-class innovators and attracting the brightest minds from all over. We will develop education that meets the people's expectations. We will fully implement the party's educational policy, carry out the basic tasks of fostering virtues through education, and nurture a new generation of capable young people with sound moral grounding, intellectual property, physical vigor, athletic sensitivity, and work skills, who fully develop socialism would carry forward a social cause. We'll move faster to build a high-quality educational system, advance students' well-rounded development, and promote fairness in education. We will improve systems for scientific and technological innovation. Innovation will remain at the heart of China's modernization drive. We will improve the new systems for mobilizing resources nationwide and make key technological breakthroughs and boost China's strengths in strategic science and technology. We will enhance the overall performance of China's innovation system and create an open and globally competitive innovation ecosystem. We will accelerate the implementation of the innovation-driven development strategy. We will speed up efforts to achieve greater self-reliance and strengthen science and technology. To meet China's strategic needs, we will concentrate resources on original and pioneering scientific and technological research to achieve breakthroughs in core technologies in key fields. In order to enhance China's innovation capacity, we will move faster to launch a number of major national projects that are of strategic big picture and long-term importance. We will implement the workforce development strategy, which respects work, knowledge, talent, and creativity. Improve the strategic distribution of human resources and move faster to build world hubs for talent and innovation. We will strive to build up our comparative strengths in global competition for talent and bring together the best and the brightest from all fields for the cause of the party and people. Six, advancing the whole process people's democracy and ensuring that the people run the country. China is a socialist country of people's democratic dictatorship under the leadership of the working class based on an alliance of workers and farmers. All power of the state in China belongs to the people. People's democracy is the lifeblood of socialism, and it is integral to our efforts to build a modern socialist country in all respects.
To add in on this here, just going to mute the speech here. I mean, this is, Mario, once again, this is a leader who is just stating facts. They're facts.
Right.
These are accomplishments.
Right.
He's saying people should be proud. The country should be proud. We got a lot of work to do. Let's continue to move forward. We're behind you. The government will invest. And you know, the word that I think that the Western media doesn't understand when it comes to their own government reporting is this government knows they are accountable. They are accountable to the people. They are accountable to the direction. And in fact, their decisions impact the good and better for other nations around the world. And this is absolutely extraordinary that the Western media still today is not covering this. There's no coverage of this whatsoever. And I commend the people that have tuned in today. I just want to show you another article that was given to me last night. It was quite interesting. Let me just show you guys if I can get it on the screen here, and we'll come back to that in a moment. Let me have a look here. Right, and this was a newspaper that I used to watch a lot, read a lot. Okay, and I used to have a lot of respect for the Diplomat. Maybe Mario, you know this newspaper, but have a look at this. First of all, they got the wrong map of China on there. Hello, everyone. Where is Taiwan? Come on. And they run this story. This is the story they're running up on the 14th. I mean, it's insanity what they're doing here. I mean, absolutely crazy. Mario, I need your commentary on this.
Yeah, the Diplomat wrote an article, published an article about a year and a half ago, which remains one of the articles that makes me more angry than any other that I've ever read, which was an article straight up claiming, along with Mike Pompeo, along with the United States State Department, repression of all religions, including violent repression by the Chinese government of all religions here in China. And I read this and I just went out of my mind because, of course, this is just completely untrue. And this was the Diplomat. And I wrote to them. I was like, "What are you doing writing this crap? You're the Diplomat. What are you doing publishing this garbage? It's not true. I'm here 24 years. I'm informing you of what's going on. Now you have the real facts. Pick up the phone, call the American Chamber of Commerce president and the members who go to Sacred Heart Church, who are the members of the congregation at the church and whose families go to church here in China. Ask them about any violent oppression. What are you talking about? So now you're aware of the facts that it doesn't exist. So this is the Diplomat. So again, they spin it to that negative. Show me that title again. Sure.
No problem. I'll get that on the screen here.
They spin it to the negative. They have paid the Xi Jinping has critics in China. Excuse me. Xi Jinping critics includes himself. Okay. Does China have problems? Listen to me, Carol. Does China have problems? Does China have problems and challenges? Does China have problems and challenges? Is the Chinese government aware that China has problems and challenges? Answer, no. Well, that's obviously the wrong answer, because here's a speech by the leader of the country that says, we must continue, we will continue to develop, improve new strategies and reforms on top of the ones we've already done. And we must. And this is our obligation, and we're doing it for the country, which is the people. They're more aware. They don't need some dissident to do a poster on one stupid guy to do a poster on a bridge in Beijing to say that there are problems. The Chinese government itself is more aware than any other entity of the fact that they have to improve this and improve that. And they are furiously in the pace and process of doing that and making that happen. And the country continues improving and the country continues growing. And let me say this, that's their damn job. Mm-hmm. That's your job, government. And the Chinese government knows that. They don't shy away from it. They don't make excuses for it. So now we go back to governments in other countries in the West, and we see what's happening, and we see that the problems in the society that they're happening with them is why? Ultimately, because their government leadership is not doing their job. And that's the bottom line. So now you see how Xi Jinping has critics in China. They've paid a steep price. Oh, yes. It's dangerous to be here in China. It's dangerous to criticize the Chinese government. Again, this is nonsense. The Chinese government is fully aware of what problems and challenges it has. And Alex, as you and I both know, millions of people daily, all over social media in China, are making open comments saying the government needs to do this, the government should do that, the government needs to do this, the government needs to do that. Okay, out in public, millions of times a day in social media in China. So the government knows what the people think. In addition to which, in terms of formal process of democratic principle, they do voting on the local level, as the video that you showed earlier indicated. The voting takes place on the local level to find the future leaders of China who go into the party. And they do, and on a local level, they regularly survey the people, because again, that's their in the country for the people. And if they don't do a good job at that, they're in a lot of trouble. And they know that, right?
Yeah,
so
this is crazy.
They regularly survey the people. That's what they do, to find out what are your needs, what are your interests. Oh, here's a new policy. We're putting it out for public opinion before we pass it to modify it. If that's not democratic policy principle, I don't know what is, So it's amazing what.
Yeah, we see here, this is what one of the stories that the BBC is running with right now. Well, U.S. Capitol riots footage shows Nancy Pelosi seeking help. Seeking help for what? Seeking help for not being accountable to the recklessness of the U.S. government, to the collected West, who has done a real hit job. And I've always said that. My father has that saying: the guilty always scream the loudest here. That is the BBC News that is running with that headline piece. Where is the importance about the Chinese government, which could at any time here, give some news about, the COVID policies. And I'm going to play something yesterday that was at the press briefing before the Congress. Lots to unpack here, everybody. We've got a lot going on behind the screens. If you could see my computer, it's absolutely full with stories and videos. But here we go. I'm going to play this for you guys just to listen. There was some questions at the news conference yesterday, and let's see how they were dealt with. All right, here we go.
Economic growth in China.
Okay, here we
Thank you. A question from Bloomberg again on the economy. The rate of economic growth in China has slowed steadily throughout the last decade. Will China target a return to high growth rates in the next 5 years? And if so, how? Or has the era of rapid economic growth in China come to an end? Thank you.
彭博新闻社，过去10年，中国经济增长速度逐渐放缓。今后5年，中国还会把回到高速增长作为目标吗？如果是，如何实现？中国经济的快速增长已经结束了吗？
大家都很关心这个中国经济发展的问题。这位记者提出的问题，也可能是很多记者都想问的。
The performance of the Chinese economy is followed by many. I guess the same question could be on the mind of many other journalists.
我先跟大家分享一组数据。据统计，2013年到2021年，我国国内生产总值年均增长6.6%。 高于同期世界2.6%和发展中经济体3.7%的平均增长水平，对世界经济增长的平均贡献率超过30%。
Let me first share with you some figures. From 2013 to 2021, China's GDP had grown by 6.6% annually, higher than the global average of 2.6% and the 3.7% growth rate of other developing economies during the same period. We contributed, on average, over 30% to global growth.
作为世界第2大经济体，在拥有这样大的体量之后，在转向高质量发展的进程中，还能保持这样的速度，应该说是很难得的。
Given the size of the Chinese economy being the world's second largest, it is no easy task to maintain such a speed of growth as it shifts to high-quality development.
增长速度是衡量经济发展的重要指标，但不是唯一指标。党的18大以后，党中央作出我国经济发展进入新常态的重大判断，明确提出我国经济已经由高速增长阶段转向高质量发展阶段。我们不简单以生产总值增长率论英性，而是着眼从根本上解决经济发展的长远问题。
The speed of growth is indeed an important yardstick of economic performance, but not the only one. Following the 18th Party Congress, the Central Committee made the judgment that the Chinese economy has entered a new normal, moving from high-speed growth to high-quality development. Growth rate is no longer the only thing that matters. Instead, we focus more on fundamentally resolving the longer-term issues in the economy.
Well, there we go. And that was more from yesterday. I've also wanted to point out that there's some nice stories going around about, the investment in green ecology. I found this story yesterday that I just want to show everyone. It's a quick video, and as well as we have one on our channel that I will be playing in a moment. But here we go.
With a population of less than 900, the village has been recognized for its distinct and eco-friendly development.
Fu Pingjun has been the party secretary of the village for 5 years. The green development road is not an easy one, and every new attempt costs extra effort. Many people have disagreed with his ideas. In 2019, he wanted to invest in new materials as a change from the labor-intensive industries in the village.
We have invested 277 million yuan at that time as a new material project. Many people, villagers, caterers, and investors were against it. They said, "You have never done anything like this. It is risky." I said, "This project will definitely earn money." But when we launched it in 2020, we lost over 5 million RMB in the first year.
Under great pressure, Fu worked hard and believed it would succeed.
During the toughest times, I slept just 2 hours. I researched how to upgrade the materials of new products and then how to balance international prices.
Finally, in the second year, the project made its first profits. Later, Fu Pingjun also wanted to build an ecological hotel in the village.
I met with resistance in that as well. At that time, I wanted to open an eco-hotel with a piece of land in the middle of the village. The former secretary was very much against it.
Despite repeated challenges, the efforts have paid off. 8 ecological hotels have been built since 2011, becoming the name card for the village. The village has also been listed on the UN's Global 500 Roll of Honor for environmental achievement, and the only rural example of an urban best practice area showcased at Shanghai Expo.
Our Tento spirit of plowing to the end and continuous innovation will never ease. Once we identify the goal, we must see it through.
Per capita income for each villager is now 75,000 yuan per year. There used to be a saying, the road is rough, the grain output is low, and the women will not marry into Tento village. But now the saying has been changed to pockets and heads are rich together. Far from the hustle and bustle, rural life is becoming more attractive with a rich and colorful lifestyle.
I also like fishing or get some exercise. When I have time, I go for a walk. I also meditate, which helps me calm down.
Fu Pingjun was named a National Outstanding Communist Party member. His future plans include solar power generation and reclaimed water recycling system, and more. Wang Sun, CGTN, Zhejiang Province.
Oh.
There you go, Mario.
Alex, did you hear me? I'm sorry, I made
yes.
Did you hear me? I was making exclamatory noises. I'm sorry.
Tell me.
But right, so did you hear what they just said? What he just said, and it reminds me of the project that I went and did the video on with CGTN.
Right, tell me.
Went out and did this So they went out and did this project to develop China, right down at the third and fourth tier, and after fourth tier, you can pretty much say village and countryside level. So the Nongchuan. You got Shenyang you got Shanghai's a first tier city, Shenyang's a second tier city, Laoyang, which is only 3 million people, an hour from Shenyang, is a third tier city. Fourth tier cities are maybe cities still big by Western standards, and then after fourth tier cities, now you're out into the countryside and you're to the villages, right? And there's villages, there's villages dotted in the countryside all around Shenyang.
The world's biggest polluter, China.
The air is so polluted that it.
You good?
Yeah, we're good. Yeah, I'm just queuing up a video for us.
No, sure, cool. The volume came up though. So okay, so this guy's talking about a project that was his dream to do, following green practices, ecological, good for the environment out there in the countryside. And then why I suddenly exclaimed, I was listening, and he said, and the overview, and the woman interviewing him, she said, and now the 75,000 RMB per year is the average income of the local villagers. And that's what it was. I just dropped my teeth. Alex, that's $1,080 US a month, cash in hand, for someone who's a villager living in the local lifestyle in the countryside. So an American goes, yeah, they're poor. I go, no, you don't understand. They literally have no expenses, these people. They live in a home or a farm that they own. It's theirs. They don't have a mortgage payment. They don't have a rent payment. Okay. I mean, it's absolutely incredible. So
and that's Mario,
like making $3,000 or $4,000 a month if you live in the United States.
Yeah, to add to that, I think there's a big misunderstanding between homelessness and poverty. Okay, a massive misunderstanding. If you talk to our Western friends, they will say, well, China, we hear many people are homeless. I'm in a city of 34 million people, Chongqing here. First of all, no one gets left behind.
City in the world, along with
no one gets left behind. There are structures that prevent that from happening. And then you try to explain it to my Chinese friends. Hey guys, there's people homeless in my country, and they say, well, how is that possible? Where's the government? Where's the society?
Or why can't they just go home?
Many people are 1 or 2 paychecks away from the street. And many people are on the street. And once they're on the street, society goes against them, whether
abandoned them completely. Yes.
Yeah, whether it's they get into trouble, criminal records, the family, the society of the family values there are also different. If let's say you've done wrong, or maybe you made an error, your family might give you a break or two. But once you've fallen off of that, call it work line, once you've fallen out of the normal person society, a car, a house, a paycheck, money in the bank, it doesn't take long. And if you lose a house, or if you go through divorce, or if you go through, the legal system is absolutely insane. It's not about reform. It's about pain. It's about pain. It's about pain, and it's about profits. A lot of the institutions in the United States are publicly traded companies. That's right. I'm not lying about this. 2 of the largest prison operation groups in the United States are publicly listed on the stock exchange, and they do lobby. The word lobby is it's insanity, this word lobby. But they do lobby certain states to try to persuade for longer sentences for people that have broke the law, so it can help the bottom line in these prisons. I'm not BSing about that. You can look it on the internet. You can find that these are publicly traded companies. They are prisons for profits. And then they are talking about people in other parts of the world that are working for cents on the dollars. Some of these prisons, I shouldn't say some, majority of them in the United States are paying people pennies to help other outside companies actually make products. I mean, first of all, you've incarcerated someone. Is it reform? I think it's profitability. And this is, a very, very slippery slope. And people they say, well, how do they get onto the streets? Okay, we're seeing it now. The pain is going through the financial systems now. Those mortgage rates start to go up. Those people start to lose homes. Those people that lose homes, it causes, there are 3, I think there's 3 fundamentals that really affected relationships in North America. Infidelity is one, money is number 2. And then it's the third one was going through if somebody was convicted of a crime, or if the marriage broke up on difficult terms. It's not hard to get a criminal record or to be arrested in these Western countries now. Look at the statistics. Look at the statistics. 1 in 3 people potentially had either a criminal record, or I'm just getting some live feeds here. Xi just said they will stick with the dual carbon targets and keep on the energy revolution. Okay, that was the latest news. See if I can get that up on the ticker for everybody to see here. But yeah, that was this is some, let's have a look there. Just so you guys are wondering what that latest comment was there. But anyway, what's extraordinary is that this is what happens when society breaks down, Mario.
Right.
The infrastructure breaks down.
This is the pain.
Caring for people breaks down. Oh, let me give you guys an example of how messed up this is. I've got a real life example here for the audience that's watching today. I have an 80-year-old mother. Okay. She called me last weekend and she told me, she said, Alex, something's wrong with my breathing. The oxygen levels are going down. She's panicking. She's an 80-year-old lady. She's not at home. She's visiting my sisters. And initially I would say, go to the hospital. Go into the hospital, talk to a doctor. They'll be able to help you. But no. This is Canada. This is one of the highest, most financed medical systems in the world through taxation. 79 or 78-year-old lady could have went to the hospital in my sister's area, but then she would have to wait in emergency because there is no clinics that would take her. That's first of all. No clinics. It's a weekend. Clinics closed. Doctors can only visit a patient if there's an appointment made. They always say if it's an emergency, go to the hospital.
Right.
So who are you meeting at the hospital? You're not normally meeting a respiratory, doctor. You might be meeting a heart surgeon or somebody that's there for trauma, like a car accident or something like that. So now you have an 80-year-old lady who has paid all her life into a medical system where there's no accountability on the safety, the security, the health. This is a reactive medical system, not a proactive medical system. So late at night, my sister had to rush her back to her hometown in order for her to get an appointment with the doctor, who then said, sorry, this is something that we can't really treat. You'll have to go back into emergency. Then we will connect you to an oxygen tank. Once the oxygen tank then gets another line of approval from the government, then we can release you and you can get the breathing back to normal.
Yeah. I know.
Really? Is that what it has come to? One of the largest countries for taxation on medical in the world. There is zero accountability. I know this wouldn't happen in China. If this did happen in China, heads would roll. Accountability from bottom to the top, from top to the bottom, whether it's the central government, whether it's municipalities, whether it's even community leaders. Everybody is responsible here in China. And that is why this country is moving forward. It's moving forward on all its agendas because, A, people care for the good of the people. They know that there's a government that has a plan. We've just watched a plan happen here right before our eyes, a historical one that is pinpoint by point by point. We're not watching Congress in the United States. We're not watching the Senate go back and forth to see who's lobbied against who. And half of the country is divided. I'm talking about America. Sorry, everyone. But if you're going to claim to be the leaders of the world and the largest economy in the world, wake up, take some lessons, because you were just schooled here about an hour and a half ago here in China. You were just told how a government can be responsible and for the better of its people. And my prime example is I got a 78-year-old mother who's gone around in circles here for the last 4 or 5 days. Her oxygen level, if any doctors out there understand that, dropped to 70, okay, when it should be 95. Craziness, Mario. Over to you.
Yeah, and I'm gonna, and that's fine. The West has got these problems, and these problems are rooted in poor governance, and it's and I'll just leave it at that without making it more flowery. I was reading Kishore Mubani's book recently, and it's like he said, and as Martin Wolf pointed out, who's one of the most famous worldwide political and economic analysts, Martin Wolf, and he commented on the origins of the United States becoming a plutocracy, which was the Supreme Court's decision in 2010. I forget the name of the case. I just put this in an article, folks. Please subscribe to Mr. Ma's Counterpoint China, my Substack newsletter. It's there. You can read it. And it's free for now. So great. I'd love to have more subscribers. So the point is that he said that the decline of the society, the government has moved into plutocracy. It's no longer a democracy. Democracy is a government that operates, and Jeffrey Sachs said this as well, it was very clear. Democracy is a government that operates for the people. And plutocracy is a government that operates for the benefit of the people. And plutocracy is a government that operates for the benefit of the wealthy and the control and power of the wealthy. And that's what we understand, unfortunately, that the United States has developed into. To a different degree, other countries like UK and other countries in Europe. But this is the crux of the problem. So they're having these declining problems, these deteriorations of the society and the systems there. Canada, as you just said, so the deterioration of the healthcare system in Canada, as you were talking about, I'm not familiar with, but in the United States, I'm very familiar with, is rooted in the focus on profit and profiteering for the pharma complex, right? That's what it's all about. And so the benefit is no longer for the people. Okay, so you turn around and then you go to a rising country that has done nothing but rise and get better and expand and improve for 25 plus years. That's all this country has done for 25 years straight. Get better and better and better. This is not because Mario is rhetorically stating an opinion. It is evidently, observably clear by economic and societal measures, indicators, surveys, the Edelman and Harvard surveys confirming again, China is the #1 most trusted government and highest satisfaction level of any government, along with Singapore, in the entire world. This is not because Mario and Alex are giving flowery speeches, or Xi Jinping. This is because, or is giving flowery speeches. No, this is because Edelman and Harvard, who are Western organizations, they got this information. They're the ones confirming what is, and this is what I want to say, the embarrassing reality. And Alex, that's why they don't talk about it. They can't talk about it. They can't talk about it. It's embarrassing to them. This is why the mainstream media won't cover it. It's a relative compared to the development and the results of, don't talk to me about ideology, talk to me about results and good governance. And it's an embarrassment to the West. Their countries are a wreck. And that's why, and they just can't talk about it. And they avoid it, and they don't cover it and don't talk about it. Now, moving on, I'm going to go back to you, and then I've got something else. Go ahead, back to you, please.
All right. Well, I have something I'd like to play for us here. These are some questions from yesterday, but worthy to have a watch here. It's worthy to have a watch. We'll just bring it back up on the screen here, and let's have a look.
有观点认为，中国对资本无序扩张的限制，特别是对互联网平台企业的监管，可能不断冲击外资和民营企业的信心。请问中央对此有何回应？党的20大之后会有什么样的政策以及措施来缓解外资与民营企业的担忧？谢谢您。
South China Morning Post. Some are saying that China's restrictions on unregulated expansion of capital, especially supervision on internet platforms, could dampen the confidence of foreign investors and private companies. What is your response? What policies and measures will be taken at the 20th National Congress to ease such concerns?
None.
我想先说明一点，就是。
We're going to cut into that, and we've got an important note. Xi is speaking about Taiwan here.
The utmost, but never promise to renounce the use of force, and we reserve the option of taking all measures necessary. This is directly, solely at interference by outside forces and a few separatists seeking Taiwan independence, and their separatist activity is by no means targeted at our Taiwan patriots. The wheels of history are rolling on towards China's reunification and the rejuvenation of the Chinese nation. Complete reunification of our country must be realized, and it can, without a doubt, be realized.
Oh, I mean, my God. Wow. Wow.
There you have it. There you have it, huh?
Wow. Complete reunification can and must be and will be, without a doubt, realized. Ambiguity?
14. Promoting world peace and development and building a humane community with a shared future. Today, our world Our times and history are changing in ways like never before, and this is posing unprecedented challenges for human society. The world has once again reached a crossroad in history, and its future course will be decided by all the world's peoples. For its part, China has been committed to its foreign policy goals of upholding world peace and promoting common development, and it is dedicated to promoting human community with a shared future. China remains firm in pursuing an independent foreign policy of peace. It has always decided its position policy on issues based on its own merits and has strived to uphold the basic norms governing international relations and safeguard international fairness and justice. China stands firmly against all forms of hegemonism and power politics and Cold War mentality, interference in other countries' internal affairs, and double standards. China will never seek hegemony or engage in expansionism. China adheres to the 5 principles of peaceful coexistence in pursuing friendship and cooperation with other countries. It is committed to promoting a new type of international relations, deepening and expanding global partnerships based on equality, openness, and cooperation, and broadening the convergence of interests with other countries. Guided by the principles of sincerity, real results, affinity, and good faith with a commitment to the greater goods and shared interest, China endeavors to strengthen the solidarity and cooperation with other developing countries. China is committed to its fundamental national policy opening up to the outside world and pursues a mutually beneficial strategy of opening up. It strives to create new opportunities for the world with its own development and to contribute its share to build an open global economy that delivers greater benefits to all peoples. China adheres to the right course of economic globalization. It is committed to working with other countries to foster an international environment conducive to development and create new drivers for global growth. China plays an active part in the reform and development of global governance system. It upholds true multilateralism, promotes greater democracy in international relations, and works to make global governance fairer and more equitable. China has put forward the Global Development Initiative and the Global Security Initiative, and it stands ready to work with the international community to put these 2 initiatives into action. We sincerely call upon all countries to hold dear humanity's shared values of peace, development, fairness, justice, democracy, and freedom, and to promote mutual understanding and forge closer bonds with other people. Let us all join forces to meet all types of global challenges. The Chinese people are ready to work hand in hand with people across the world to create an even brighter future for humanity.
You know, yeah.
15. Exercising full and rigorous self-governance and advancing the great new project of party building in a new era. Our party has a pivotal role in building China into a modern socialist country in all respects and advancing the rejuvenation of the Chinese nation on all fronts. As the largest and Marxist governing party of the world, we must always stay alert and determined to tackle the special challenges that a large party like ours faces so as to maintain the people's support and consolidate our position as a long-term governing party. All of us in the party must bear in mind that full and rigorous self-governance and uncensoring endeavor and a self-reform is a journey to which there's no end. We must never slacken our efforts.
Well, Mario, spoken like a true leader. I have to commend President Xi for just an absolutely amazing speech. We could go on for hours on a marathon here all day. I know we could. But here's what I suggest, everyone. Over the next few days, you continue to follow our channel. Of course, other content creators will be joining me throughout the week here in China. That's right. We are live on location. Hopefully, we're going to be getting back into our main command center in the newsroom here. It's just currently right now here in Chongqing. We have some epidemic measures in place, some very good ones, that is, as China and cities like Chongqing follow the dynamic COVID policy.
Same here.
I want to, and I guess Mario's experienced that in Shenyang as well, but once again, accountability, respecting the common person, and of course, respecting the medical workers who have been outstanding here for the last few years and know how to deal with this. This is one country that does not need to take advice from 186 other nations around the world that have had the let it rip policy when it comes to COVID and put their civilians and people's lives at risk. And even we've seen many people die over the last few years from governments that have just been clearly irresponsible. I think our viewers can understand that this is a massive country of 1.5 billion people. It's not screaming to the world that it needs help. It's on the straight and narrow. They've pulled people out of poverty in the millions. And we're not comparing poverty to homelessness, which is going on throughout many countries in Europe that I have seen here. And I think it's going to get worse in these other countries. I find it pretty interesting that, the Western media is not covering this. I'm quite actually surprised. But I will tell you, there is a headline that they will take from this. I can guarantee you, Mario, that they're going to take his comments regarding Taiwan and they are going to chop it up and use very, very, selective words on that. Let's talk about that in a moment when we come back. I've got one more nice story to tell you guys here about. Let me just see if I can get this video loaded for you guys. It's a nice story that we just finished here in Chongqing. We made a video about the ecology and China's. We'll say what's happening locally here. All right, let's have a look, guys.
The world's biggest polluter, China.
The air is so polluted that it's darkened the sky.
Most believe the dirty air is here to stay. BBC News, Beijing.
It's the most polluted city on the planet, with a pollution cloud hanging over this country from the Russian border in the far northeast all the way down to the central cities of Chongqing and Chengdu.
中国将持续推进生态文明建设，坚定不移贯彻创新、协调、绿色、开放、共享的新发展理念，建设美丽中国。
I'm standing here on Guangyang Island. Now this island has quite the history. In the Second World War, it was used as an air base. Well, that's been decommissioned. What you could do with an island like this, one of the largest on the Yangtze River. And I'm here with my host, Vivi, and she's gonna be our guide today. How big is this island?
广阳岛枯水期面积有10平方公里，丰水期面积是有6平方公里，有4平方公里的消落带。目前我们岛内是收集到了500余种植物，190余种鸟类，其中有4种国家1级保护鸟类。
So I'm on the central part here of the Guangyang Island here. These terraced fields that are behind me here, well, they grow vegetables and carrots or lettuce, fresh. And it also has a special irrigation system below it.
在2016年前，广阳岛曾规划了300万平方米的房地产开发，曾准备居住5万余人。2017年8月，市委市政府决定环岛于民，将其定位为长江风景眼、重庆生态岛。
Can't you just hear the noise of birds and all those species? In a city like Chongqing with a mega population of over 30-some million, places like this in other parts of the world are not expanding, they're actually decreasing in size. I'm going to show you in the next part of this segment of this video what China is doing from pollution to prosperity. Green development requires a low carbon production and lifestyle. We are here at an amazing place called Chongqing House. Chongqing House in Chongqing Lianjing New Area is a winning architectural project of the International Green Solutions Award. Its external plants, rainwater collection system, and the overhead floors take away the heat of the building. These have a system, a really unique system that can collect rainwater. Its annual comprehensive energy consumption is only 50% of the national limit value and saves nearly 20% of tap water compared to other buildings.
Chongqing factory is positively be a pioneer demonstration for the whole industry. It's try to lead the industry surrounding us to promote the sustainability of the green and the ESG. Based on the industry change and the national request for the ESG, like the carbon dioxide emission and the carbon dioxide neutrality, we try to protect our process. We try to make our product and the material more reuse, recycle, and more degradable to get the higher the carbon dioxide emissions.
The automotive driving vehicle Apollo Go has obtained the qualifications to conduct a commercial transportation service in the Yongcheng Chongqing. It's China's first fully unmanned transportation service qualification. You know, throughout the year of living here in China, I've experienced many things in regards to ecological and pollution control. For example, the Dazu homestay was absolutely breathtaking, but very educational. The Yitelling Reserve Park, I learned so many things with that park ranger who's been protecting that park for 40 years. And the investment in infrastructure in Wulong, in the treetop walk, bringing your children to a park where they can have fun and learn really important things about ecology. And including Wushan, every autumn, lush red leaves dot the Yangtze River canyons. On Huanghua Island in the Zhangjiang County, wetland ecosystems and forest ecosystems coexist. And last but not least, in the Nanchuan Jingfo Mountain, besides the karst landscape, there are a large number of rare animals and plants, and it is also famous World Natural Heritage Site. Even in the urban areas of Chongqing, public transportation and walking trails are not only convenient for low carbon travel, but also become a green scenery that tourists like. Thanks to the Chongqing people for their great efforts. This has really helped the environment with a strategy going forward into the future. In 2013, the number of days with good air quality in Chongqing was only 206, accounting for 56% of the whole year. Well, let's fast forward that number to 2021. This number is 326 days, accounting for almost 90% of the year. As a result, the probability of acid rain and precipitation dropped from 48% to just 8%. In the past decade, the city's forest coverage has increased by 2% annually, reaching a staggering 54.5%. The area of soil erosion has decreased by 12.5%. Chongqing manages 1,145 kilometers of various rivers. During the 10-year fishing ban in the Yangtze River, more than 5,300 fishing boats were properly disposed of, and more than 10,000 fishermen came ashore and changed their way of life with the help of the government to explore new working opportunities. Chongqing is just one of 600 cities in China who have embarked on this ambitious plan to achieve China's promise to the world. China aims to have a carbon dioxide emission peak before 2030 and achieve carbon neutrality by 2060. This is a remarkable task for a developing country of 1.5 billion. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed that. We're going to...
Yeah, really well done, Alex. Well done.
We're going to now he's concluding his speech here, so one moment.
Delivered a report. So, fellow delegates, please deliberate the report. Now we conclude the session.
Well, I think we've seen history in the making here, Mario. Well, that's got to probably drive the Western media absolutely madness.
They're going to lie. They're just going to lie, Alex. They're not going to tell the truth. They're going to lie and twist and distort, which is what they do. And Xi Jinping's speech was straightforward.
It's been almost...
Yeah, don't worry. I just had to load this file for us. Go ahead, Mario.
His speech was straightforward, rooted in governance, facts, and accomplishments, and the fact that, yes, we've got plenty of ongoing problems and challenges, and we need to continue facing all of them. There's no denial of what any of those things are. Zero COVID is the best plan for China. By far it is. He called it a tremendous success, and it is, but he knows it's putting pressure on the economy, and they need to continue improving it and tweaking it along the way while they're continuing to protect the health of the people. Again, China is a core items that are most important right now for the world to be watching from his speech. That zero COVID is not going anywhere. I've been saying that for several weeks in my Twitter feed and in my newsletter. I've told everyone, I don't know what you're thinking that zero COVID is going to change. It's not going to change at all. They're just going to continue improving it as best they can in response to what the needs of the country are. And the needs of the country are rooted in the fact that this country is a country rooted in traditional family values, which is families taking care of their parents and grandparents. This is still the root of the society, like it used to be when I was growing up in the United States in the 60s. I was born in 60 and growing up in the 70s. That was the society back then in America as well. It's gone off the rails to this neoliberal, cancerous agenda. Forget about that. I don't want to talk about that right now. But China has still focused on, and the government still says, traditional root of marriage and family is the root of the society, and taking care of your parents and the grandparents. Meaning that 90% of the people who do die from all kinds of illnesses, annual flu, pneumonia, you're older, you catch pneumonia, and that's what ends up killing you. So now COVID is still, even with current variants, doing that 5 to 10 times worse than the average annual flu in terms of the death rate, hospitalizations, long COVID symptoms. The Chinese government is fully aware of that. That's not acceptable. Families look at that and go, no, Comparatively, no, we won't accept that much death. We won't, and we can't, and we're not going to. We care about our families. Family, tradition, marriage, culture is the root of society here, period. So there's the driving underlying value explaining why the vast majority of Chinese still accept zero COVID and wouldn't change it if you asked them tomorrow. I did a survey in Mandarin myself with 950 responses. Would you stop zero COVID tomorrow in Mandarin? No, was 85%. The answer was 84% response. And that was my informal, sloppy, inaccurate kind of a Twitter survey. But it reflected, I knew the answer was going to be 84%. The answer wasn't 60% or 20%. I knew the answer was going to be high because if I go out on the street here in Shenyang and I ask everybody, I'm going to get the same answer. Okay. And this is the truth because taking care of grandma and grandpa and mom and dad is a high value in the society. So I'm explaining to you, to all of our viewers, why zero COVID is so readily accepted. It's because the underlying value system in China is to take care of family. And in the United States and in Europe, combined population of about 1.1 billion people, almost the same as 1.4 billion people here in China, you've got about 4 million COVID deaths. So that's what you'd have here in China. You'd have at least 5 million COVID deaths, 90% of which would be mom and dad and grandma and grandpa. And that is unacceptable as Chinese people. Not to mention it's just that simple. So this has absolutely nothing to do with politics. I got to mention one more thing because he talked about it, Alex, in his speech. He made a comment, which I think we got to talk about. Look, there's 1,000 things, but this one that he mentioned is very core point. I got to find it because I took a lot of notes while he was talking. I was trying to transcribe. He said, go ahead and let me read this. This particular section that I was transcribing while he was reading it, he was on item number 5 of his speech. He had about 15 in total. To propel, hang on. Okay, let me read this whole paragraph. It's not that long. A bit repetitive again on the principles because he's been saying the same thing again and again from the beginning of his speech. But in this particular part, he said, education, science, technology, human resources, and talent are the pillars for building a modern socialist country, with innovation as a primary driver of our development strategy, opening up new arenas and new strengths, relying on talents to pioneer, propel, strengthen the educational system, scientific development. There's more papers submitted by Chinese science institutions and professors than any other country now. Fully implement the party's policies in education with sound moral grounding, move fast to build a high-quality education system, fairness in education, and innovation remains at the heart of China's drivers. Innovation remains at the heart of China's drivers. Create an open and globally competitive ecosystem, accelerate and speed up efforts to achieve greater self-reliance, breakthroughs on core technologies in key fields. He didn't say the word, I'm adding it, chips, right? What has the U.S. done? They just tried, they blocked Huawei, they blocked ZTE. Well, now we know that was just the tease for the degree to which America is going to try to block China. So now we've got the America Chips Act, and they're doing everything they can do to block China. And what is China's response? But this started a year ago. To achieve accelerate and speed up efforts to achieve greater self-reliance, breakthroughs on core technologies in key fields, chips. And just last month, Alex, was it the article that said someone just went out of their mind crazy because it was reported that China's foundry was already capable of doing 7 nanometer. And the world was like, oops, how the hell did they come up with that? How did they achieve that? And this is the problem. By everything they do to try and block China, the CHIPS Act, now they just sanctioned more Chinese companies. All of it ends up spurring China higher and higher and higher. And this is not me making a rah-rah speech. This is the raw, realistic reality in the economy of what we see happening. I'll stop on that note. And thank you again, Alex, for
fantastic. And I just want to commend you for coming down and spending time in Chongqing and discovering the beautiful Guangyang Island that you did. And speaking to all of our colleagues at work who highly praise your words. You're a pretty smart guy and you definitely know China, that's for sure. I'm going to play a little bit of yesterday's questions Q&A quickly on the COVID, and then we will just kind of wind it up here. As you see the highlights from yesterday, the fundamentals of the Chinese economy remain unchanged. Yes, go ahead. Go ahead.
Alex, before you play this, because you mentioned specifically it's about COVID, and a moment ago I talked specifically about COVID. Yes. But let's also, let me do this third point out a key characteristic of Xi Jinping's speech about zero COVID policy. What did he say? Very little. He said nothing at all. He said China is making tremendous progress in protecting people's health, and we will continue. And then he went on to other subjects. So he said nothing about zero COVID, and he is, quote, the commander of the country. So it's just like I knew and said it was going to be. Now I'll be very interested to see this clip and see what they say about COVID policy.
All right. Well, here we go. Without further ado.
And the World Health Organization has said that the end is in sight. China, on its part, has maintained that it will hold unswervingly to its dynamic zero COVID policy, even as other countries around the world have chosen to open up. Is there concern that China will become isolated, especially as the country faces challenges in its economy? What factors would be seen as favorable for China to relax some of its COVID measures and to open up further? Thank you.
新加坡亚洲新闻台，新冠疫情发生已有近3年的时间，世卫组织指出，新冠病毒大流行结束在望。目前，世界其他国家已经选择开放，而中国仍坚定不移贯彻动态清零方针。中国是否担心在经济面临挑战时会被孤立？哪些因素有利于中国放宽部分措施并进一步开放？
这场世纪疫情给世界各国经济社会发展和人民生活都造成了很大的冲击。我们大家都希望疫情能够早日结束，但是我们现在看到的是疫情仍然存在，这是我们必须面对的现实。
The COVID pandemic has dealt a heavy blow to the economies and people's lives across the globe. We all long for its early end. As things stand, however, it is still lingering. That is the reality.
疫情发生以来，中国始终坚持人民至上、生命至上，把人民生命安全和身体健康放在第一位，这是我们一切防疫策略和举措的根本出发点和落脚点。
Since the onset of the pandemic, China has put people and people's lives front and center. We gave top priority to people's health and safety. This is the part and parcel of our COVID response efforts.
动态清零是立足中国国情，遵循科学规律制定的防疫方针。核心是快速反应、精准防控，力求以最低社会成本，在最短时间内控制住疫情，最大限度保护人民生命安全和身体健康，最大限度减少对经济社会发展和人民群众日常正常生活的影响。
Dynamic zero-COVID policy is in light of China's national realities. It is a science-based approach. The essence is rapid response, targeted measures to bring the COVID situation under control with minimum costs for the society and in shortest possible time, while protecting people's life and health and minimizing the impact on the economy and people's normal life to the best of our ability.
我国是人口大国，老龄人口多，地区发展不平衡，医疗资源总量相对不足。正是因为坚持了动态清零，我们才保持了极低的感染率和病亡率。正是因为坚持动态清零，坚持疫情要防住，经济要稳住，发展要安全，我们才保持了经济社会持续稳定运行。如果算总账，我们的防控措施是最经济的，是最好的，效果是最好的，也是最有效的。
China has a big population, including a huge elderly population. Development is uneven among regions and medical resources are insufficient on the whole. The dynamic zero-COVID policy has enabled us to keep infection and case fatality rates at a very low level. Keeping to this approach and with robust efforts to curb the virus,
Sorry?
I want you to replay that for our viewers. He said something so important. Go back 1 minute and replay the key things that he just said. I'm serious. That was so important. Go.
我们才保持了经济社会持续稳定运行。如果算总账，我们的防控措施是最经济的，是最好的，效果是最好的，也是最有效的。
China has a big population, including a huge elderly population. Development is uneven among regions and medical resources are insufficient on the whole. The dynamic zero-COVID policy has enabled us to keep infection and case fatality rates at a very low level. Keeping to this approach and with robust efforts to curb the virus, stabilize the economy and secure development, we have realized sustained and stable economic development. All things considered, China's COVID response measures are most cost-effective and have worked the best for our country.
Yep.
按照动态清零的总方针，我们不断完善疫情防控的具体的举措。那么，随着疫情形势的变化和对病毒认识的深化，我们已经先后公布了9版疫情防控的方案。那么，我们防控的策略和措施会越来越科学，越来越精准，越来越有效。我们统筹疫情防控和经济社会发展的水平会越来越高。
Under the dynamic zero-COVID policy, we have been constantly improving our response measures. As the COVID situation evolves and as we get to know more about this virus, we have published 9 editions of containment plans. Our COVID response measures will be more scientific, with greater precision, and more effective, with still better coordination between pandemic response and socio-economic development.
Well, there you have it, a very clear message. And yeah, what can we say?
Yeah, I mean, just big. So what did he say that I wish we want to make all our viewers understand this about China? So what are they saying? And it's so accurate and clear and correct and true. There's just no flowery nothing. There's no rhetoric. There's no opinion. China has an enormous population, including a huge elderly population. Development is uneven between the different regions of the country, and medical resources are insufficient on the whole.
Yeah.
How aware are they of what they're dealing with, Alex? Are they in denial of what they're dealing with? Are they saying we don't have any problems? Are they saying we're better than you? They're saying none of those things.
None of those
They're
things.
saying if you go back to America and you listen to Joe Biden, and will Joe Biden, the president, or any other leader get up on a podium and say, we have these problems?
Yeah. No, it wouldn't happen.
They do the exact opposite. They say, Biden said, inflation is under control. We don't have this problem, that problem. The economy's doing fine. He literally said that last week. But I don't want to pick on Joe Biden, by the way.
No worries.
They all say that. So, but you hear how you have Chinese government officials, the ones representing the country, clearly making this statement. I got to say, big population with a huge elderly population. Development is uneven between the different regions of our country. Medical resources are insufficient on the whole. All of those things are being addressed and improved as fast as they can improve them. Dynamic policy has enabled us, the dynamic COVID policy of, doing local lockdowns, responding like we're all experiencing, has enabled us to keep the virus at a very low level, which also enables us to maintain a stable economy. Overall, all things considered, without a doubt, this is the most cost-effective approach that's been proven for us. Dynamic zero COVID policy is we are constantly improving our response and measures as we get to know more. There's been 9 official updates so far to plans and measurements, more effective coordination between pandemic response and socio and economic development. This thing is a balancing act. They know what they're doing. They're doing it as best as they can. I remain as confident as I could possibly remain in what's happening here in China. It's my home. It's the largest, safe, successful, capable, civil, and peaceful country on the planet. That's the truth, not rhetoric. That's it, Alex.
All right. Thank you very much, Mario, for joining the program today. I'm Alex here at iChongqing, and I just want to tell you guys to, first of all, if you don't know about our YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, or all other social handles, just subscribe to our channels. What a wonderful opportunity it was to have Mario share his insights into China. He's an amazing guy. Don't forget to check out his channel. We put the links in the descriptions below. And I'm not going to leave you guys high and dry without a nice exit so you can chat with amongst each other. I have to tell you today, besides one other live stream I had earlier in regards to climate, this has been one of my most viewed live streams ever at iChongqing. And I just wanted to thank everyone and all the audience for your interest in this fantastic day here in China. 16th of October, mark it in your calendar. We're going to continue the coverage throughout the week. And I just want to say, hey, everybody, you guys have a great day. Chat amongst yourselves. Share it. Take care.